They told you education is the key. They said, go to school. But why are so many graduates purposeless and jobless? On EduShift, we spot the cracks. We challenge the educational system. Torn between science, arts, and commerce, we bring clarity and answers to your questions, and we light up the path for a generation ready to stand out. Come enjoy discussions with educators, employers, and counselors. Let us fix this problem of career misalignment and help you discover yourself. EduShift, only on Global TV.
Hello there, and welcome to another episode of EduShift, where we'll help you shift towards education that aligns with purpose. I am your host, Priscilla Obasti, and today's topic is one I tag sensitive, and I'm sure a lot of people would also tag same. Now, every morning, parents all over the world, parents all over Nigeria, let's be specific, parents all over Nigeria wake up, pack their children's bags, say a short prayer, and then send them off to school, believing that they are safe. But what happens when that safety becomes an illusion? When the same child, when the same place built to educate a child becomes the very place that destroys their innocence. In recent days, in recent years, the heartbreaking story, of young children sent to school have emerged. They've been sent to school, and somehow they end up being, molested, raped by their caregivers. Sometimes their guardians, uncles, teachers. And this is actually very disturbing. The painful truth is that it is not new. We recently heard of, a young girl, Ochanya, that was sent to school in the care of her aunt, only to be raped by her aunt's husband. And that has actually shocked the nation. But like I said, it is not new. So today on EduShift, we want to confront a tough but necessary conversation. Safe schools, protecting children from sexual abuse in schools. Stay with me. For many Nigerians, sexual abuse in schools, feels like something that happens in other places until it hits close to one's home, to your home, to that child that you know. From teachers abusing students, to senior students molesting juniors in their hostels, to caregivers violating children they are paid to supervise, to uncles, to aunties, to housemasters, lesson teachers. The stories are everywhere. And unfortunately, the system stays silent. Now, UNICEF reports that 1 in 4 Nigerian girls experience sexual violence before 18. But these are just the cases that are reported. There are some that are underreported. There are some cases that never make it to the limelight. Most never reach the police, the school, or even the parents. Schools are supposed to be, sanctuaries, places where children grow, where children learn, where children explore. But when predators hide within the school system, education becomes trauma. Why children keep quiet? Why is it that would ask, why is it that children do not speak when such abuse happens? And I want to tell you some of the reasons why, so that you don't go about blaming these victims, because that is what they are. And how most of the times we want to blame the victims is actually concerning. So number one reason why I think, such victims are, silent is for fear. Yeah, fear is the number one reason. Many abusers threaten children. many abusers, that carry out such demonic acts on these kids may end up threatening them. If you tell anyone, I'll kill you. No one will believe you. And then you go about with all of the mindset. You just feel like this is the reality. Because, of course, number one, remember you are a child, or that victim is a child. Because they are usually the victims, the ones that do not have, the boldness, the ones that that are not matured enough. Somehow they become the victim. And because of the fact that they are not matured enough, they are, shamed. They are somehow silenced because of the fact that they are not bold enough. So the whole narrative of no one will believe you is usually what's the card that they are played. And that often keeps them in that space of not coming out to share whatever it is that's wrong with them. Then second reason is for shame. Children often think it's their fault. If you are in that situation, if you're somebody that has been victimized or that have been abused, I'm sure you can understand, you'll be able to relate. Because as a child, you sometimes you know what is right, you know what is wrong, but when you're faced with an adult that is expected to know more than you, sometimes you want to even take the blame, because for the fact that you know that this is wrong and this is right, you think it is your fault, especially when the abuser is a trusted adult. It doesn't make sense, right? But that is usually the situation. And number three is cultural silence. In many families, sexual matters are taboos. You dare not talk about it. Even when the child tries to talk, the adult says, do not say it again. You want to spoil our name. True life story. I used to anchor a podcast. And on one episode, a woman walked into the studio coming to share a tragic story. Guess what happened? She walks into the studio and says, my 6-year-old daughter was molested by my husband's sister's son. Yes. How did all of this happen? The husband's sister's son of, say, about 15, 16 years came over their house to write exams. I think one of these, senior secondary examinations. And then in the course of coming to write exams, he started to, molest this young girl. The little girl, I think at that point she was 5 years old, 5 or 6 years old, thereabouts. The little girl made several attempts to confide in her parents, her father particularly, and then somehow she wasn't bold enough to, or the father would shut her down, or, at that point where you want to speak, you just feel like you're disturbing, or she was disturbing. And that went on and on until she was able to confront her mother. And at that point, the whole thing had gone on and on, more than once, twice, thrice, and it was becoming countless. And then she was able to confront her mother to tell her, this is what this nephew or this cousin of mine is doing to me, rather. And when she was able to confront the mother to tell her, guess what? The father comes up with a card of, you don't want to spoil my name, because this father in this, in the situation is a military man. So you know what it means for his job. Based on the fact that they didn't want to, ruin his reputation or expose him, they tried to solve it secretly, but this mother kept hurting and hurting and hurting and hurting. And then the whole fact that this said guy that carried out this evil act was his nephew. So it becomes complicated like that. Yes, it can actually get that complicated. And there are situations that are even worse than that. So sometimes the family tries to just cover it up, basically because I don't want our name to be soiled. I don't want this thing to escalate. Let's just die within us. But you do not know that victim would never ever feel, free. That victim will keep hurting until somehow the whole thing is being dealt with. Now, that is a third reason. And I said that is basically because of the cultural silence. I tried to give that example because it was practical to that point. Let's go to the fourth point, and which is the lack of trusted reporting channels. Nigeria do not have enough reporting channels. People go through abuse, people go through every kind of victimization, and there is not that one place that you can run to and you're sure of getting the help and the justice that you need. So we lack trusted reporting channels. Schools rarely even have, safe child-friendly reporting systems. There are counseling and guardian services in schools, but sometimes those counselors/guardians are not friendly. So sometimes they scare the children away and, prevent them from coming to actually share the burden to them, which is primarily why they are in that space. So some schools even cover up cases to protect their reputation. I've seen it happen. We have seen it on the internet where a school, goes viral for some wrong act and they kind of silence it just to save their name. Now, when a child is abused, they don't just lose their innocence. Aside from the fact that we are taking away this child's innocence, do you know what their innocence means? You rob it away from them. They're supposed to outgrow it, but then you steal it from them. You don't just steal that thing. They will also lose their trust. They will lose confidence. And sometimes, and in most cases, the ability to learn. Trauma follows them into childhood. Our schools are failing children in 3 major ways. And this is not to say that most of the cases of abuse are coming from just schools. We know and understand that there are situations that, it all springs up from the home front. Yes, and we're going to still talk about that. But let us focus on schools that, all of these activities happen in. Now, our schools are failing in 3 major ways. The first is the no child protection policies. Most Nigerian schools do not have written policies on abuse prevention. No teacher vetting. Anyone can just be employed. No background check whatsoever. No psychological screening. And then we have schools that look at reputation over justice. When cases of abuse arise, schools deny, parents beg, communities pressure, and leading to the death in that case. So this is the cycle, especially when there is reputation at stake, and the child now returns to the class with the abuser still there. How unfair? How unfair? Tell me, what kind of education can a child focus on while living with trauma? What kind of learning am I doing in that state of mind? Nigeria recently has been reforming its curriculum, and that's a beautiful thing. September, we saw, courses spring up: robotics, programming, AI literacy, cybersecurity, digital writing, entrepreneurship. A new era, a positive step, and that is so beautiful. But let's be honest, can a child learn robotics when they are battling trauma? Can a child concentrate on AI when a teacher they fear is in that same classroom? Curriculum reform will fail if we don't reform the learning environment. What about rural schools? The place where there is no fence, no female teachers, no security, no counselors. If we don't address these inequalities, we are saying only urban children deserve safety. What must we do? Let's start with the parents. Like I mentioned, we're addressing this at all fronts and all levels that, it plays out. Let's start with the parents. Of course, we know the parents have a role to play in all of this. Number 1 is to know the adults, teachers around your child. The caregivers, the drivers, and the hostel wardens. You need to know them. Know them beyond their names. Know them beyond their complexion. Know them beyond their state of origin. You need to know them deeply. Secondly is to observe. Observe behavior changes in your child. For example, the fear of a particular teacher, or the sudden quietness, sudden loss of appetite, the sudden avoidance of school and all of that, sudden timidity, sudden everything. You need to follow up. monitor it, track it, and know where it comes from. Because those are things deeper than you think sometimes. The third one is teach body autonomy early. Teach them that no is a full sentence. Yes, you don't owe everyone an explanation. No is just enough. Teach them that no adult should touch their private parts for no reason. Teach them. I saw something on the internet recently. A child and his daughter, I think the parents had successfully tried to train that child, on how to avoid adults from touching that's the child now, a female child now, her body part. So the father would try to illustrate and try to touch her, at the back, and the child would slap the father and say, no, don't touch me. And then they put it out in the public and they were asking, is this right or wrong? Of course, it is right. That child is learning how to avoid strangers coming too close. And that's a good training if you ask me. The fourth point is, if a child speaks up, believe them. You don't have to believe totally, right? Just let them know that they can talk to you. Believe them. Do not even try to silence them. Do not try to shame them. Don't even negotiate. Carry out your investigations from there. Now let's go to the community and welcome back. Thank you for being here with us. We're still in Safe School, protecting the child from being sexually abused in the school environment. So, what must community and policy solutions bring in order to put an end to this menace? Schools must have safeguarding officers. Government must enforce reporting. Teachers must be trained to detect signs of abuse. Communities must stop protecting abusers. Yes, our school environment needs to be safe. That child sitting in that classroom needs to understand that this is maybe home in a way. You need to make them confide in you. Because trust me, these perpetrators are everywhere. So, as we are teaching academics, as we are teaching them, to become career pursuers in the future, you need to make them know that this environment and that classroom is a safe place for them. They should know how to confide in you. If you are a caregiver, if you are a teacher in that environment, they should be free to confide in you. And as parents, like we mentioned, you must know the teachers beyond their names. You must follow them closely. You must know them beyond the state of origin. You must know them beyond their religion. You must know the teachers, the adults that interact with your children. Academic excellence is great, but academic excellence without character, without, that innocence, that sanity on the inside, will not get any child anywhere. So we must protect our children. We must protect them from the adults around them. And that's the best. This is just the least we can do for their future. As much as you want that child to become great in life, you need to provide them every kind of support. Moral support, every kind of support that they need to become great. And trust me, by doing that, you're just making that child great, right? Yes. So while we protect our children, we protect a future. When we silence a child, we silence their destiny. Every child deserves to learn without fear. Every classroom must be safe. Safe to dream, safe to grow, safe to become. Let's go on a short break. When we return, the kids join us on the edutainment segment. Please stay with us.
It's edutainment time on EduShift.
Why do we have homework? I get it. It's supposed to help us learn, but sometimes it feels like the homework magically appears at the worst times. I mean, I just finished school. Why can't the homework be like a treasure chest? Something exciting, with surprises that make me want to do it.
Is homework really the key to unlocking superpowers? What if, by doing homework, we're all secretly training to become superheroes?
Okay, fine, homework I'll do you, but you better reveal your secret to me one day.
He looks famished. Can I see your famished face? How do you feel when you're famished?
When I'm famished, I feel angry. When I am famished, I feel sad. When I'm famished, I feel angry. When I'm famished, I feel tired. When I am famished, I feel weak.
Welcome back. Thank you very much for still being here with us. This has been Edgy Shift. Now, what are the final words to leave before we end the conversation today? When we protect a child, we protect a future. When we silence a child, we silence destiny. Be very careful. Children are very fragile in heart. You must treat them. Yes. You see that child you see, their hearts are fragile. And you must treat them with that care. You must nurture. The word nurture is not for adults. You must tend to them carefully. Your words must be very selected, well selected. Do not speak, irrationally to them. Let us help them dream. Let us create environments that are safe to dream. Let us create environments that are safe to become whatever it is you want to become. And if you suspect child abuse, do not forget to speak out. Report to the right authorities. Do not try to bury cases of abuse. Yes, report to the right authorities. School owners, we need to be sensitive when employing teachers. You need to do a background check before handing over numbers, tens and 20 students to this teacher. We need to do a background check, know where they're coming from. I think it's something that employers need to really look into. A person can leave a very funny environment. Sometimes they are sacked and they don't even tell you. And because of the fact that it was not so public, they try to just cover it up. They go to the next school and, you just receive them with full arms. So we must be sensitive when doing our employment, right? And that's for schools. And parents, we can't say enough. Listen to your children. Be sensitive to their changes, to their needs. This has been Edgy Shift. At this point, we'll draw the curtains. I hope today's episode has enlightened you. I hope we run with a mind shift, on being sensitive to these things. We're talking about abuse of all sorts. Thank you very much for staying with us. Thank you very much for being here with us today. Until we come your way again, keep shifting towards education with purpose. I remain your host, Priscilla Obasi. Bye for now.
They told you education is the key. They said, go to school. But why are so many graduates purposeless and jobless? On EduShift, we spot the cracks. We challenge the educational system. Torn between science, arts, and commerce, we bring clarity and answers to your questions, and we light up the path for a generation ready to stand out. Come enjoy discussions with educators, employers, and counselors. Let us fix this problem of career misalignment and help you discover yourself. EduShift, only on Global TV.